G'day everybody and welcome to my Aussie garden and kitchen. If it's your first time here, my name's Darren, but please call me Daz. And in this recipe, we're doing peanut butter chicken. You heard it right, people, peanut butter chicken. Peanut butter, who loves peanut butter? Hopefully you'll be able to hear me over the exhaust fan. So first of all, we'll put in some oil. That should do, about half the quantity there. And we'll just move that around the pan just to get it nice and hot. Giving the insides of the pot a good coating and getting the oil nice and hot at the same time. Now I've had the pot heating up for a couple of minutes now, so it's time to get the chicken in. So we've just added the chicken, now we'll give that a good stir around. Okay, so I'm back now. So what just happened is the gas ran out and I've just had to go change over the gas bottle so I can now keep on cooking. So the pot is actually cooled down and I'm just trying to get the heat back up so I can brown this chicken. So I'm just scraping the bottom of the pot just to get the bits off the bottom so they don't stick and burn. Alright, so what should be happening here is you should be browning off the chicken. Now, I'm not going to pretend that everything's perfect here and edit this and everything. You're going to see it as it is. So unfortunately for me, because I lost the heat from the gas and I had no gas, this has started to boil, not brown. So I'm going to get this chicken out now. Now, if this chicken had actually browned, I'd be taking it out anyway, because being chicken breast, you don't want it to overcook. So what the actual process is that you'll take your chicken, put it in the pot like I did, and you'll brown it off and get some color, and just to get some flavor into the pan as well. Then you'll take the browned off chicken out of the pot and onto a plate, and you'll be adding that later. Because there was no gas, there was no heat, and I couldn't brown the chicken, but that's fine. I can work with that with this recipe. So we're just going to get some more oil back into the pan, into the pot, and as usual, move it around just so it gets heated up quicker. All right, so we'll add our onions. Alright, so we'll just get these onions in, giving them a stir around. You can see a bit of colour there with the onions. That's actually picking up some of the chicken flavour from the bottom of the pot, which is a good thing. So I'm just keeping this moving because the pot's nice and hot now that I've got gas again. And I don't want to burn the onions. So to this, I'm going to add the turmeric, the curry powder, the cracked black pepper, the ginger, and the garlic. Now, this recipe, I would recommend adding fresh chilies and curry leaves. These I actually grew in the garden myself, but a number of the kids are eating this tonight and they don't like the chilies and the curry leaves. So I'm going to leave these out and I'm actually going to fry these off and add them to my one later. Now you can see that I've used curry powder in this recipe. It's a mild curry powder, and by the time you add all the other ingredients, especially the honey, it's not a hot curry burn at all. This should not burn at all when you eat it if you follow this particular recipe. So we'll give this a stir around. So what we're doing here is we just want to cook out that curry powder a little bit in the pot. So by slowly frying off that curry powder, you're just drawing out the flavour from the spices. Because the curry powder is a blend of different spices. These curry leaves from a curry tree, they do not make curry powder. This is an actual curry plant, and these are a curry leaf. That powder that I used is a blend of things like cumin, coriander, chilies, turmeric. So that powder that you get, a curry powder, is not made from curry leaves. These have their own unique flavour and taste absolutely fantastic in curries. Cooking off that curry powder, cooking off the onion, the garlic, the ginger, making sure not to burn it. As always, like I always say, you never want to burn garlic because garlic will taste bitter whenever you burn it. Alright, so that's pretty good. I'm going to leave it at that. Now I'm going to be adding my honey. Now the reason I do that now is I'm using the honey as a liquid to deglaze the pan, which is basically lifting the flavour off the bottom of the pan. So we'll give that a nice stir. So that liquid from the honey It's just lifting all those flavours off the bottom of the pan very nicely, stopping everything from burning and sticking to the bottom. So I'm now adding the potatoes. These potatoes I obviously pre-cut, and I'm just going to mix them around in that mix of the honey and the spices. And you can see that colour from the turmeric already going on the potatoes, giving that yellow colour. Get that chicken stock in there. All the quantities will be listed down below in the description, so just follow that along, and I will convert it so both people here in Australia and overseas can follow the instructions. Okay, we'll give that a stir. All right, so now we've got the stock in there. We'll pop the lid on and bring that to the boil. Okay, so this has been boiling for a good probably 15 minutes now. We'll take the lid off and check it out. Oh, hello, that smells good. Oh, look at the colour of those potatoes with the turmeric. Look at that. All right, those potatoes actually feel good. So what we'll do now is we'll add that chicken, my non-browned chicken. Now, the reason you brown the chicken is for flavour and to seal it off. And then we take it out so we don't have it overcook. Now, because I lost gas, like I said earlier, with no gas, I couldn't brown it off. No big deal. It's just the colour, but that's not going to matter because I've got turmeric and everything in here, and this chicken is going to change colour. Alright, so we'll stir the chicken in. We'll get it in there. Now, it's very important, everybody, that this chicken needs to be brought up to the boil. We need to cook this chicken off properly, okay? Because it is not very healthy having chicken that's not cooked all the way through sitting around waiting. And we need to make sure we get this in here in this boiling liquid and bring it up to temperature and really make sure it's cooked through well. So important, guys. Okay, so while I'm waiting for this to come to the boil, I'll just explain that I'm using chicken breasts in here. Now, we're using chicken breasts because a lot of people in the house don't like chicken thigh. I prefer chicken thigh, and I recommend chicken thigh. I think it's tastier and it's a lot more moist. Now, it sounds like a bit of a contradiction, but chicken breast will actually go a bit dry in this compared to a chicken thigh. If I was to do this exactly the same with chicken thigh and have this side by side, I can guarantee you the chicken thighs will be a lot juicier than what these chicken breasts will be. Alright, so we're bringing it up to the boil. Very nice. Alright, so you can see how the chicken's taken on a bit of colour from the turmeric in there. But obviously, if I'd been able to brown it, if I had the gas flame underneath earlier, there'd be brown markings on the meat. But that's no big deal. It's going to be fine. I don't think anybody's going to be refusing this tonight. You may have noticed that I don't use salt in this recipe. I don't bother because all the flavours are good together, plus you've got the peanut butter, which has salt in it already. And the big one as well is that I actually use a chicken stock powder that I mix with the water to make a chicken broth. And that chicken broth has got salt in it already. Although we actually use a salt reduced version, but that's still more than enough salt in flavour. This is where the magic happens, everybody. With a clean spoon, it's now time for the peanut butter. So we'll get that peanut butter out. There you go. Yes, that's a lot of peanut butter. But I did tell you it's peanut butter chicken. What I like to do is just rest the spoon in there for a second. That will heat up and the peanut butter will run off the spoon. Now that's about 300 grams of peanut butter. I'll convert that and put the measurement on the screen for people overseas. I've used smooth peanut butter, but by all means use a crunchy peanut butter. It gives more texture, and I personally would love all those little bits of peanuts floating through it. But a lot of the kids here don't like crunchy peanut butter, so again, we've just gone to please everybody and gone for the smooth version. So we're just going to stir in that peanut butter. And I should also point out that this is not very thick either. The sauce in this will not be a thick sauce. The peanut butter will thicken it slightly, It'll give it a creamy type of texture, but this is not meant to be like a thick, creamy sauce at all. It's actually going to be, well, you'll see. It'll be a runnier type of sauce, but believe me, it tastes great. And when you get that mixed in with the rice, oh yeah, it tastes good. So you can already see with that peanut butter being added, that the sauce has actually taken on a creamier look to it. Now with this recipe, I'm cooking for 9 people, plus we always cook extra for lunches the next day or maybe dinner the next day when somebody doesn't want to eat what we cook the next night. So I have cooked a large batch, so all you're going to have to do is look at this recipe and say, okay, he's used a kilo of chicken. I don't need a kilo of chicken, I need a half a kilo, and just adjust the recipe by half. So as you may have seen in my other recipes, do check out my other recipes, my other videos by the way. We like to use potatoes to bulk up a meal because we have so many people here. It's an economical way of bulking up a meal and extending the size of the meal without having to add all that extra meat. So what we'll do is, for instance, in this recipe, we've got potatoes not only because they taste great in this recipe, but also it's going to extend it so everyone can have a bowl with big chunks of potato and some chicken, and it goes a lot further. So this recipe is a variation of satay chicken. Now, I loved my satay chicken when I lived in Malaysia as a teenager, and ever since then I've loved my hot spicy food, but unfortunately it's something that the kids here won't eat. So I've had to adapt a few recipes, and this is one recipe that I've adapted from the original satay recipe, and it's an absolute hit and it's a favorite and it's always a pleaser with the kids. It's the one thing that we know that all the kids in this house are going to eat. All right, so as I said earlier, we need to make sure we bring this up to the boil and keep it at a boil for a while, just so the chicken does cook through and it's at a safe cooking temperature. Very important. Okay, so I've just turned this off. I'm quite happy with it. I actually tasted it off camera earlier and it tastes fine for seasoning. Now, if you were to add the red chilies, you can add them at the start when you're sauteing the onion. And if you were to add curry leaves, if you're lucky enough to have them, add the curry leaves about 5 minutes before you turn this off, just so the flavour gets in there and blends in nicely, and they'll still keep a bit of their colour. Okay, let's have a taste. Absolutely dying to eat this. You know what? Let's just grab a big chunk of chicken. Big chunk of chicken with a bit of rice and chili. Here goes. Oh, delicious. Oh boy. Oh, that is so good. Let's try some of that potato. Let's try a nice big chunk of potato. Look at the colour from the turmeric. How good is that? Let's try a nice big chunk of potato with a bit of chili and fresh curry leaves there. Here goes. Wow, that is awesome, everybody. And what did I think of it? Das approves. Of course I do. I made it. But seriously, it is awesome. You really need to try this recipe, everybody. And there we have it. That's my peanut butter chicken served on basmati rice. So do you cook a chicken satay at home or a version of this at all? Leave a comment down below and let me know what you do. And yeah, it'd be interesting to see if you actually make something similar and maybe there's something there that you do that I don't know about and I could actually try myself. Well, there you go. I hope you try it yourself. I hope you enjoy it. Please check out my other videos and I will see you next time. Bye for now.